Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head up towards Stockholm and we're going to go to Nyköpping for the first time in quite a while actually. This is a brewery you've not seen me review anything from in about 3 years or something like that, so very curious to return to them after such a long time. For this one we're going to return to the Nils Bryggeri and we're having a taste of their Rauchbier today. So this is another one that was released in the små partiers through Systembolaget on the 5th of October 2018, and as you'll know if you've watched the channel before, this is a style of beer that I absolutely love. So as the name suggests, it's a Rauchbier and it comes in at 5.1%, which is pretty standard compared to the German ones, the likes of the Spezial and the Schlenkerla, of course, the two most famous examples probably from Bamberg in Franconia and northern Bavaria. But a beer style that I absolutely love, and I'm very curious to see how Nils have done with this one. So definitely looking forward to this, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, link to my other reviews that I've done from the Nils Bryggeri before. This is the third review I think I've done from them. No doubt there will be some more in the near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Nils Bryggeri then. So the Nils Brewery was founded back in 1996, and since September of 2006 they've been located at Frölingskälen in Nyköpping, which is about 10 kilometres to the south, or 10 miles to the south, sorry, of Stockholm, Sweden's capital. But the brewery boasts one of the most modern malting facilities in Europe apparently. They produce all their own malts at the Tärnö Manor base, which is located in a building from the 1700s. But the brand is actually based on Nils Sundberg, who was from a village called Brandon in the Norrbotten region of Sweden. And this area had a lot of timber and mining activities, but there was a really tough economic period in the late 1800s which hit the area very hard. So in 1882, at the age of 17, Nils received a ticket to the USA from an immigrant relative, and they owned a farm of course, so he went over the Atlantic and worked there for 18 years, initially working in a kitchen. But during his time in America he actually caught typhus, but he also studied business English at the Bryant and Stratton Business College in Chicago, and the principal actually thought extremely highly of Nils' work ethic and honesty. But in 1900 Nils returned to Sweden permanently and married his wife Ida. They eventually had 4 sons together, and they established a family farm at Bränden, which is where the Tärnö Manor and the Nils brewery and distillery are as well. But when forming the brewery, Carl David Sundberg was inspired by the stories that Nils had brought back from the USA, and he felt that it was natural to name the brewery after his relative. And these guys are probably one of the kind of medium, slightly bigger sized breweries in Sweden these days. There'll be some motorbikes going past now, but these guys are one of the slightly bigger craft breweries, I guess you could say, in Sweden. They're probably along the same size as like Popils and the likes of Popils, Opigårds, Jämtlands. Nils are a fairly kind of big operation, and they do have a really good selection of beer there actually. The first one I ever reviewed was the Gott Lager. I personally quite like the India Ale that they did. I thought that was a really quite nice beer as well. But they do produce lots of different ones for the small partiers every so often, so I will need to make sure I try and review these ones. But I picked, it's been ages since I've reviewed one of their beers like I said, but I picked this one up mainly because of the style that it is, because it's a style that I really love. So I'll need to make an effort to review more of their beers in the fairly near future, but they are quite a recognisable craft brewery these days in Sweden. But yeah, that's all you really need to know about them just now. If you want to read a little bit more, you can check out the brewery website in the description below, and you can have a look at all the different beers and things like that they do. But like I say, I will make an effort to review more of their beers over the next little while. But yeah, that's all we need from the brewery notes. Let's actually get on to the tasting of this beer itself. So like I said to you, this one comes in at 5.1%. It's a Rauchbier, of course. This style originates from Bamberg, if I'm remembering correctly. in Franconia in Germany. I have been there, but I'm not sure exactly if that is where the style originates or if they just kind of perfected it or whatever, but that's the city that you would normally associate it with. And there you can see the man himself, Nils Oskar Sundberg, in on the thing there. For the times, I guess, quite a good looking chap. And there you can see he's also on the bottle cap on this one as well. Just make sure you can see that. But yeah, on the back here, it has a little bit of stuff in Swedish. It says the Nils Oskar Rauchbier is a dark brown smoked beer of the lager beer type, and that's because they use a yeast that's similar to the Pilsner yeast. It's got a nice smoke bit to it. It tastes kind of sweet, I think, and it's smoky but still mild. And the malt has been smoked over. Oh yeah, basically it's been smoked at their place, and basically take this so you can take it with meat, a special type of Swedish cheese that's called Hummanskost, or you can just have it on its own, I think it's saying. So yeah, nicely presented one. This, as I say, limited edition one. This one was released through the Små Partiers in Systembolaget on the 5th of October 2018. So very curious to try this one. 5.1% ABV. Well, probably one of my favourite beer styles actually. My whole love of craft beer started with the Schlenkerla Rauchbiers in Germany, and you know, it was thanks to my friend Daniel with that. So I might actually go to Germany in Bamberg once again fairly soon, so you might see some videos in the actual Schlenkerla brewery. But yeah, let's get this guy out and we'll get on with the tasting. I'm surprised, that beer is beautifully clear. So yeah, and you can smell these lovely malts there. And this is going to be a bit different, of course. They won't be using the German Rauch malt today. You've got all the idiots out on their bikes today. Yeah. I do like motorbikes, but you get all the just zoom. But yeah, nice looking beer, this one. Just look at that. The colour of this, it's a nice sort of chestnutty. Not, well, in fact, that's not even dark enough for chestnut. That's a nice light mahogany beer. If I put my fingers behind the glass, you can see that this is really quite transparent. There's a solid finger and a half of a frothy, kind of slightly creamy beige coloured head to this one. But yeah, it looks absolutely lovely. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass. And when I shine it up to the light there, I would definitely say that it's a sort of mahogany colour, this beer. I think that's the best descriptor we can find for it in terms of colour. But let's take a closer look at the aroma of this one and just see how we get on. Yeah, that's really interesting. It's got a lovely big bready presence to it, and you always notice, I mean, we get smoked malts at home in Scotland as well, the peated malts, and they're just the smoky quality that you get out of them. It's a little bit earthy, but at the same time kind of grassy, if that makes sense. The Rauch malts from Bamberg and Franconia, they're always very meaty, kind of smelling ones, and this one is quite interesting because it's smoky, and it's got a little bit of that meaty edge to it. But at the same time, it's also almost like a kind of smoked bread or something like that this one has. It's got a big bready base to it, this beer. I've always found the German ones, there's just a little bit more of a kind of caramelly, biscuity sort of thing to them. But this beer, to me, smells really, really bready. And it's a nice sort of brown bread. It's almost like a German note. There's definitely, I would say definitely, the smoky notes in this one are unique, but they lean a little bit more towards what you'd expect of the German smokiness rather than the Scottish smokiness. And of course you could, in theory, talk about the Polish Grudzicki style as well, because that's a sort of smoked beer, but they put salt and stuff in that too. But yeah, lovely smoky notes, leaning towards the meaty side of things. And it's got a lovely kind of brown bready base to it, this beer. It really is lovely, actually. I like the aroma in this one. There's a bit of a biscuity note in there, not quite a rich caramel, I would say, and almost a little bit of a kind of woody character as well, just a little touch of woodiness or something. And it's not quite nutty, I think it's more of a slightly woody kind of aroma to the beer. I'd be very curious to know if they've used German hops in this, because it has that typical kind of, that very light but slight, almost sweet earthiness to it, and you've got a little touch of that floral and grassy note. The German noble hops, the Hallertaus and the Tecknangers, they're very, very distinctive in their aroma, and when you've had a good few German Helles and Dunkels and stuff like that, you know, you can really pick them up. And this beer, I'm pretty certain they'll use German hops in this one, and you know, when it's a German beer style, that's not really surprising. But yeah, it smells really nice. That there's a little tiny touch of a red fruity note to it, maybe just a very light kind of candied red kind of note to it, but that is to be expected from the Rauchbiers. But yeah, lovely grassy, slightly floral hops in this one, a little bit earthy, and the malts are really, really nice as well. So yeah, just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of this beer before you get stuck in. But let's have a taste of this one then. So this one is the Rauchbier, a limited edition release, the small partiers, the 5th of October 2018 from the Nils Bryggeri in Nyköpping, just to the south of Stockholm. Let's get stuck into this one then. Slange, skål. Yeah. It's definitely, I would say that about this one, it's definitely lighter in the mouthfeel than the likes of Schlenkerland, things like that. It comes across as very clean, if that makes sense, but I do like this beer. You know, a lot of people can get, I have tried some smoked beers with some people and there's just been like, oh no, it's just a bit too kind of heavy and things like that, because it is a big smokiness that you get from them. This one I think could be a good introduction to it because it's just got a nice kind of subtle quality to it. It reminds me a little bit actually of the Japanese Rauchbiers that I've had. It's kind of in the same light as that, the Fujizakura Heights Rauchbier. This one really reminds me of that quite nicely actually. Yeah, that's really the beer. If you go and watch my review of the Fujizakura Heights beer from Japan, their Rauchbier, this one really does remind me of that. It's very much in the same line. It's a nice, light, easy drinking thing because the Japanese always want their beers to be very light and easy drinking. That's what this one really reminds me of, but it's a little bit more bready from what I remember. This one, I mean, is the more bready one. But yeah, this is nice, really nice and easy drinking. Have a go at this if you're a fan of the sort of if you're a fan of smoked meats and things like that. This is a really good beer to pair with it, and you know, blue cheese and all this kind of thing. That's what this beer is really good for pairing with. But let's try and break this down a little bit. So with this one, you can feel there's a nice kind of smooth bready quality that just blankets the middle of your palate there. On top of that, or I should say really, it's a nice brown bread. It's definitely got that typical bready presence to it, and you can feel that the malts in this one are really good quality. As I say, they produce all their own malts, but with this one, it's got that nice brown bread. You know, on top of that, you start to get a little bit of the biscuity sweetness. There's not quite caramel to this one. It is mainly a biscuity sweetness, and as you come out from the middle of the palate, you can feel it just kind of spreading out a little bit, and the beer becomes a little bit more grainy as you push out towards the sides of your palate. When you come a bit further towards the front of the tongue, I think there's a little touch of a slightly woody character to this beer. Yeah, it's got a nice kind of woody note to it, this one. I would definitely say that about it. Nice little touch of a woody note, and that comes out a little bit more as you go into the aftertaste. You always get that with these smoked beers right enough. They just come across as a little bit woody. Not really nutty qualities coming out of this one, I would say. Definitely more woody, but I like how that malt base is going together. From the flavours, I definitely think there's German hops in here. I don't think there's much doubt about that. They may well have used a Swedish one or something like that as well, but I'm pretty sure it's German hops. So in the back corners of the palate, you've got that nice smooth earthiness that you would expect of the Hallertau or the Tettnanger hops, and as you come further forward, it just kind of it does push forward a little bit. But then when you start to reach the front corners of the palate, there's a little touch of a floral quality there. Then round the front curve of the palate, there's a little bit of a lighter kind of grassy note there. And behind the front curve of the tongue, you do get a little touch of a fruity ester out of this beer. Yeah. With this one, there's just a little touch. I mean, it does have that sort of grassy, citrusy note to it. There's a wee touch of an almost slightly candied red fruit there, but that's very minimal in this one. Very minimal. There's not much in the way of a red fruity note. This, as I say, really minimal. Just that lighter kind of grassy that's typical sort of grassy, fruity kind of thing, that grassy, citrusy thing going on with this beer. Overall, this is really nice. Like I say, this is a nice, easy drinking Rauchbier. For me, I love the Rauchbiers, but you know, for me to session them, it's just such a kind of, it's almost like such a sensory overload for your palate. You can only really drink one of them at a time, I would say. But for me, this is a nice kind of easy drinking beer, this one. So have a go at it for yourself and just see what you think. And it does come across as very, very clean, but it's really nicely done. So I'll give Nils Oscar a thumbs up for this one. It's kind of, this one, I don't know if you could argue that this one, rather than being a Rauch beer, is more like a smoked lager, but let's not get pulled into whole debates about styles and things. Styles, it's as long as the beer's good, that's the main thing. This one definitely though is lighter than the likes of Schlenkerlad, Spezial and stuff like that, but I like what they're aiming for with this one. If anything, it reminds me more of the Fuji Zakura Heights Rauch beer that I had from Japan, because it's got that lighter sessionability about it. I think the best way to summarise the flavours in this beer, it's got that, it's got a bit of Swedish kind of unique bready quality to it. It's got the German kind of Rauch flavours, if you like, and the noble hops, but it's got that sort of more Japanese drinkability to it, if that makes sense. And that's me putting together all my experiences of this style. So a really nicely done beer, this one. Thumbs up to Nils Oscar for this, and I hope they can continue. I'd love to see what they would do with a German Dunkel or something like that. That's another style, and a Doppelbock as well would be interesting, because they've obviously got a knack for producing these German style beers as well. But in terms of the mouthfeel then, this beer, it's mid-bodied, but it's on the lighter end of mid-bodied. It's only kind of just mid-bodied, if that makes sense. The carbonation's very smooth on this one. The mouthfeel overall, I would say, mainly a wet mouthfeel. It's got a little touch of oiliness to it, but mainly a wet mouthfeel. Malt in this one, a really nice balance. It's not got that much sweetness to it. It's mainly a kind of smoothness to the malt base in this one. Nice little bit of hoppy bitterness. I think it's around 30 IBUs, something like that. And then it's got just a little tiny bit of a fruity note to it. But overall, as I say, in terms of the Rauch beer style, a really nice, easy drinking one. It's got the meaty characters that you'd expect of the German Rauch beers rather than the Scottish smoke beers and things like that. But it's got a nice kind of slightly lighter drinkability of it that reminds me of Japanese beers. But yeah, overall, really, really nice beer. And as I said, a thumbs up to the Nils Oscar Bryggeri for their effort here. So that's, you know, I think we should leave it at that for this one. It's a really interesting beer. It's a good Rauch beer, but with a little bit more kind of sessionability to it. Let's leave it at that for this one. So yeah, this was the limited edition Rauch beer from the Nils Oscar Bryggeri in Nyköpping, just to the south of Stockholm. Another one of the small partiers on the 5th of October 2018. So once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Nils Oscar, and hopefully I can return to these guys in the fairly near future. I'm sure I will, because they're always releasing new beers through the small partier, so I will make more of an effort to review some of these ones for you on the channel here. But yeah, a really nice beer, this one, and make sure you check it out. Check out my social media, and I will catch you guys very soon. The Rauch beer from Nils Oscar Bryggeri in Nyköping here in Sweden. Slange, skål, prost.